All right, well, welcome to my next screen recording on Zotero. This is the third screen recording that I've done for my first year seminar on how to use Zotero. And today we're going to really focus on using Zotero with the Newsbank Times-Picayune Historical at the Loyola Library and also the Historical Newspapers Database, also through Newsbank at the New Orleans Public Library. They work very similarly. And neither of them work particularly well directly with Zotero, but they do work with Zotero. And so I'm going to walk you through how to use this. And I want you to pay really close attention because the way that you add things into Zotero needs to be done exactly right with this database, and it will have a big impact on the quality of the information you collect. All right. So before we start, you should know that, of course, if you're in the 9:30 class, we are working on Carnival of 1921. And if you're in the 11 o'clock class, we are working on Carnival of 1946. I've created group libraries in Zotero for both of these, and I've gone ahead and actually added one single record to them. In my Zotero library, down at the bottom, I have many libraries in my Zotero library, but down at the bottom, you'll notice you'll have group libraries, and I've added a bunch of you to it, and once you accept the invitation and synchronize your Zotero, you'll notice that you have your appropriate library, whether it's Mardi Gras 1921 added to your library or Mardi Gras 1946, and you'll notice that I've actually already added a record in each of these just to kind of go through a dry run of doing it in preparations for this video. I'm going to walk you through how to do this now here live. But also, if you're in the Zotero in the browser, you can go, and once you're logged in, and I'm logged in, so my name appears here rather than the words log in, I go to my profile, right? Okay, and if you click on Web Library, this is the browser version of your Zotero library that you have in your little Zotero application. So if you were somewhere like, say, at the library or at a public computer or borrowing a friend's computer and you didn't have Zotero in it, but you wanted to get access to your libraries, you could go and log into Zotero and get them using the browser. They've just recently actually improved this dramatically. And you'll notice down at the bottom you have your group libraries, and then here we have Mardi Gras 1921 and Mardi Gras 1946. So I'm going to go ahead and use these different group libraries when I'm adding things to Zotero in this presentation. So I'm going to go over to, first I'm using Loyola's Times-Picayune Historical and Current. This is all of the Times-Picayune. And for this first search, I am going to be working with Mardi Gras 1921. It's really important that you have the collection highlighted where you want your research to go. Now, since most of you probably only have your My Library at the top, and whichever Mardi Gras library that you have down in group libraries, it's not as critical that you get it exactly right. But if you want your file to show up in the group library so all your friends can see it in the database, this is where you need to do it. And I'm going to add something here in 1921 first. All right. So if we're going to go do an advanced search, just, kind of to reinforce some of the searching techniques that I showed you in the historical newspaper video, I'm going to enter in a date range. And of course, for Carnival, we're thinking, really news about Carnival begins in the fall. So I'm going to say 11/19/20 to, in Mardi Gras is long over, of course, by April. I'm going to put in 4/19/21, all right, to just kind of limit when I'm searching. And I'm going to go ahead and add in a search term. We haven't done this before, although some of you, I think, did this in your newspaper research assignment. There's something to be said for just searching the newspaper, and then there's also something to be said for just searching days of the newspaper by scrolling through the sheet. In this instance, I'm going to do a specific shirt, and so rather a specific search. So I want to look up, say I want to look up, I don't know, Rex, right? Good old Rex. And this is going to return a lot of different things because Rex is used as advertising their company's named Rex and all that. So Rex is going to return a lot of false positives for me, right? We see it right now, half of cleaning, and so this is for the Rex Pressing Company. So I'm not interested in finding anything having to do with the laundry business. The other thing I want to do is sort these returns instead of by newest, right, April of 1921 first. I want to sort them by oldest first. All right, and this will resort and give us our oldest resort. So November 1st, 1920 is our first hit. Now I can go ahead and we can see that there are a lot of, here's Rex McDonald. We have a lot of Rex concrete mixers, Rex gas ranges. So you see you end up getting a lot of junks in these searches, unless you happen to be searching. You can see also this is the word sex, not the word Rex. Rex concrete mix. Now in restoration, we see there's a lot of junk. I'm going to just go ahead and click somewhere here in the middle. That's going to get us into the thick of carnival season. Here we are in January. Let's see here. Here, His Majesty Rex heralds Nouvelle Orleans visit Merry Monarch undismayed by reports of disappearance of ... of certain supplies and joyous message. So if we go ahead and click on this article, it's going to go ahead and pull it up. January 16th, 1921. Now, one of the things that you're going to notice is that in the 1921 Times-Picayune, the index of the database is better. If you're using the 1946 Times-Picayune, you'll notice that the articles themselves are not indexed in the citation manager. Okay, this is very important. All right, very important. The Zotero connector does not work properly for the Newsbank database. The way you get a newspaper article into Zotero, and again, we're going to go and make sure that we have Mardi Gras in 1921 highlighted here, is you go and click on this quote mark and see little icon for cite. And you notice this menu of choices pops down. So there's a lot of different things you can do. But of course, what we want to do is, I'm not really sure what Noodle Tools is, but we want to use EndNote in Zotero. When I click on this, what is going to happen is it's going to download what's called a RIS file, a .ris file. And if I click on that, what that does is it executes a script. The S in RIS stands for script. And what is a little application. Do you want to import the file, right? So what it did was it made it into a little record that exported the data. And when you run this little script, it will go to import it into Zotero. Very important. Make sure import into new collection is unchecked. What that will do is create a new folder within this folder. We do not want to do that. Make sure, like I said, very, very important, make sure that this box is unchecked when you do this. All right, and we have our correct folder highlighted, so we hit OK. And now we see we have an imported file, right? Item type, a newspaper article. It has a title, although it's been truncated because of length. There is no author because I don't believe there's an author associated with this. It gives us the newspaper, the place of publication, the date, the page, and of course the URL to our database. Now this would be okay except for the fact, and then this sequence number which can help you find it in a database sense but isn't particularly useful to us as researchers. All right, so the first thing I'm going to want you to do is go ahead and in the abstract put your name on it. All right. So I've gone ahead and added that. We're not by a long shot done with this yet. If you go into the Zotero group libraries, I'll click on Mardi Gras 1921, all right, and we can see it's already been added. This little grid icon up here lets you add different items to what you want to display. So if you wanted to display the year, you would go ahead and add that to your menu. One of the things that allows you to do is to show who this has been added by, right? So whoever in the shared library added it, you can list them, right? And I like that. Unfortunately, in the Zotero standalone app, it does not have that option, right? The person who added it, even in the more columns, does not exist. So it is actually very frustrating. All right, so the reason why you want to put your name in the abstract is you can go ahead and then put your name here. Now, of course, I'm the only one in here, but if you were in the app and wanted to find the articles that just you added, that would be the best way to do it. You could also add it as a tag, right? So I already had this, so I can go ahead and add myself as a tag. That's another way to do it. Tags are a great way to add information to your article. So I've added this article. Say I want to add some tags. Well, this is about Rex, so I've already added Rex, right? So there's a tag too. And there are other things that I might want to add about this article. All right. So this is all fine and well, but what I want is, just like this article, I want to have PDFs of the article attached. You ask yourself, well, why do I want, and to get out of this menu, you go ahead and click on the Cite button again, and it will make it disappear. See, toggles it up and down. Why do you want to download the PDF of this article? Well, simply put, you may or may not have access to this database in the future. Sometimes you're offline. Remember, the Zotero standalone app synchronizes with the internet. Maybe your internet's down, maybe it's slow. This puts a PDF of the file directly associated with the record, right? So it's easy enough. This icon is download, and of course you've used this before already in your newspaper research assignment. So we're going to go ahead and download the full page, all right, PDF. I'm going to include a citation because it's kind of nice to have. I'm going to go ahead and download it. Of course, downloading full page takes a little bit. All right, there it is. There's my article. Now, if I want to go and attach this, I'll have it downloaded right here. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and drag it from here to my Zotero. But of course, to do that, I have to make a little bit of screen real estate here. They can't overlap. So I'm going to scooch my browser away, and I'll go ahead and drag it over here onto my file. And there it is. Boom. See? And it actually, one thing you'll notice, I'll go ahead and drag this back to my screen recording window and drag this back over here so you can see it. You notice it actually renamed the article. It renamed the PDF file with it there. So now we have in our record not only the information, but we also have an actual PDF of the article that we can open up and take a look at if we want to. You notice my Zotero, after doing this, it's synchronizing it with zotero.org. So that PDF at this moment is uploading to the cloud. If I go over here, you'll notice that it will be here, and we'll have an attachment. There it is. Our attachment is also available in the cloud. Very cool. All right, so this is how we go ahead and add things in Newsbank in Zotero. Now, the process for using the New Orleans Public Library is very similar. I am in Firefox. Of course, you could use Safari. Safari doesn't work very right now with Zotero, but if you're using it just to access the Historic New Orleans Newspaper Database at the New Orleans Public Library, it doesn't matter. Why? Because the Zotero connector doesn't work with this database. Remember, you're adding it using the RIS script that the Newsbank database generates for the article. So I'm going to do an advanced search here. First thing I'm going to do is make sure I'm on the right database, because I'm going to do an advanced search for Mardi Gras of 1946. I've already added an article here from the New Orleans item and added a PDF of the page. So I'm on the right database. I'm going to do an advanced search. And I am going to go and enter a date range. 5th of March, Mardi Gras Day. I'm not going to do the newspaper. Oh, I can. I'm going to do the newspaper for the weekend before Mardi Gras. So I want to look at the Historic New Orleans newspapers. I'm going to put it in, I don't know, 3/1/1946. I want to look at March 1st, 1946, leading up to it. And I'm going to put in a keyword. I'm going to put in Rex. It's going to show up. But my goal here is actually to browse the newspaper. One thing you'll notice right away is that the newspaper in 1946, we don't have article titles here. We just have the page of the particular newspaper. So New Orleans item, the New Orleans States, and then of course, ultimately we'll come down here, the Times-Picayune. And so we don't have an actual article index for the 1946 newspaper in this database. What does this mean? All right, well, just for what it's worth, you know, we say we want to browse through our thumbnails of the newspaper. We'll zoom out a little bit, right? We're looking at kind of interesting, wow, you know what? This is actually a really kind of interesting article. Filipinos here to hold ball. I was looking for Rex, but I'm going to go ahead and add this. So Victory Ball, highlighted by the coronation of Miss Philippines, will be held on Mardi Gras Eve by Louisiana Lodge 34, the Caballeros de Dimas Ayang, the Caballeros. Okay, so these are men who fought for the Philippine Squadron. So here is an article that I probably wouldn't have found if I was just searching for it, because I had no idea that I wanted to find this. And there's all kinds of other stuff having to do with Carnival, Hermes, one of the other carnival parades. I'm going to add this article to my database. Now, the way I'm going to do this, of course, is again, I'm going to go ahead and I want to cite this. All right, I'm going to use EndNote Zotero. And of course, I'm in a different browser, so this little pop-up in Firefox asking me whether I want to save it. I do want to save the file, right? It downloads it up here, right? And there it is, news article. There's this RIS file. Click on it. Remember, we don't want the article to be create a new collection. We want that box to be unchecked. All right, it's added it. But one thing you'll notice, there is no title to our article. So the first thing we're going to do is click back here, undo our citation, and look, there's our title. So I'm going to go back to Zotero, and you have to manually type in the article. So I've added the title in here manually, and so I go ahead and click on the next. We don't have an author, and so I have that record in the database now complete with an article title. But what I don't have, of course, is the PDF of the article itself. Now, there are a couple of different ways we can do this. I want to go ahead and download. I can select the clip, or I can download the full page. Now, this will download the full, in fact, page of the paper, and there's something to be said for it. But in this case, what I want to do is actually just select this newspaper article right here. I don't want the whole thing. So I'm going to download that clip. I'm going to include a Chicago Manual Style citation, and I'm going to download it. And of course, this is, all right. I want to save the file. Okay, there we go. It's in my downloads folder. There it is. And I can show in the Finder, which is kind of nice, a nice feature of Firefox. So when I go and click on Zotero, I can just go ahead and drag it down here. One thing you notice, the news article is titled News Article H1 underline 1946, page 3, PDF. When I've added it here, it's gone and retitled it based on the title of the article. So that's kind of cool. So that is, and again, I'm going to go ahead and added by me. I'm going to add a tag. Let's see. Just add that in there. Kind of a little sidelight of Mardi Gras of 1946, but in many ways tied to the moment after World War II and Filipino pride and how the Philippines were tied into not only World War II history, which just, of course, completed in 1946, but also New Orleans history. There is actually a fairly strong Filipino community here right in New Orleans, and many people are unaware of that. So I've gone ahead and walked through adding an article using the Newsbank. Just quickly, the various steps. You use Cite. You download using Zotero. You download the RIS file. You open that RIS file. Go ahead and those downloaded files, you're going to run the RIS file, right? Make sure that box is unchecked. I'm going to cancel this because we've already added it. If it's 1946, you're going to have to write in the title, whether it's the Times-Picayune or the item. Then you're going to download either a clip or the full page of the article, right? When you're done with that, you're going to drag it to the Zotero record. The file can be dragged right to the Zotero record after you've renamed it, put the title of the article in, and you're going to drag it over here so you have a PDF attached to your record. If you have any questions, be sure to email me, watch the video again, give it a try. You might go ahead and just add records into my library to practice. That way you get it right, and then when you go ahead and start doing your actual research, you can go ahead and start adding them into the shared libraries.